Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Start with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this church, for the ability to gather together, ability to study your word, Zoom, just all the little things that we take for granted. We pray for your spirit to just minister to us, open up our eyes, our ears, our understanding so that we may see your truth in a new way to serve and love you better. And these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, today we are in chapter 9 of Luke. What we'll probably do is split it up into 3 sections, because it's a lot. I looked at the, I know, so I was like, ooh, it's okay, it's all right. We'll split up into 3 sections. So you don't have to do all that. All right, let's do our business statement. Go.
We today are one family of Jesus Christ, who cared everything all people are in Christ.
All right, so we try to use our signs, one, family, Jesus followers, bear spiritual fruits, all people come to know Christ. That'll help us stay on track when it comes to that. All right. Background. What's important you think we should know before we get into chapter 9? Okay.
Okay, Jesus found the stone.
All right.
Jesus delivered the demon possessed man, he was a sick woman, and usually his life to a baby girl.
All right. Jairus' daughter, the demon possessed man with legion, telling the wind and the waves to be quiet. What else? What's something important we should know before we get into chapter?
Talk about my parents. I was confused about.
Yes. Anything else?
People wanted Jesus.
Jesus wanted people to leave. Once he sent the demons into the pig, it was like, can you leave, please? We don't want to be disrespectful, but you got to go. I don't know what you're gonna do, but you're gonna have to get out of here. All right. That's important, because when he leaves that region, he goes back to the other side where his base camp is. His base camp seems to be in Capernaum. All right. Anything else?
The cured man wanted to go with you.
Yes,
But
you want to go?
he didn't stay there.
Gotta stay. stay and do what?
And tell what happened.
Testify. The good things God has done for you. So basically, be an evangelist, sharing your testimony to everybody in that region. Because I'm sure he was widely known in that region. And so his testimony would have been powerful. All right, anything else?
And the woman that had that was bleeding.
Issue of blood.
Issue of blood.
Mhm.
All right. She also powerful testimony.
Yeah.
Look, I've been spending all kinds of money on doctors, this and that. He healed me immediately. And so it was a public healing,
Yes, I did call her out.
correct? So that they knew what was going on. Because if you have a large, huge crowd and she tries to say, I touched Jesus was healed, they was like, yeah, right. So the fact that he, and a lot of times we miss what Jesus does for people's reputation. It's like if you have a person who has leprosy and he healed them, like even with the 10 lepers, he healed them and then he says, go show yourself to the priest so that you could be reestablished back into society. You could go back into worshiping in the temple, all that type of stuff. And so he understands that the healing is not just physical, but sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's societal, because society has problems accepting you because of your past. Sometimes they won't let that pass. And so he understands his healings are perfect and that I need to not only heal you physically, but emotionally and get you back into society. Excellent, excellent. Anybody else?
Jairus' daughter was dying and.
Correct. You at the end of your rope. That's what you learn how to do. Swallow your pride. And you go to anybody whom you think will help. Especially if they've been proven to be faithful in the past. So I think Jairus, that's how they say it. Some people pronounce it a weird way, but I've always heard of Jairus. Jairus. I've heard Jairus. I think Jairus knows that. Jairus. Jairus. We don't know, but that's what we can say. There. But the point is this, leader of the Pharisees, I think he'd have a different view of Jesus after that situation. Because later on, we're going to find out, not all the religious leaders were against him, but there was kind of some tension between them. And we know that's happened because Nicodemus was one. Yep. But, and you'll hear this phrase a lot, for fear of the Jews, they didn't do a lot of stuff openly. Right? Excellent, excellent. Anything else? The parable of the four soils. Basically, you, in my mind, I always think this: how much of God's word am I letting seep into my heart so that it produces something? Because a lot of people can hear the truth, but if you just hear it and don't do it, that's no good. So when I hear a good sermon, a good Bible study, I hear some truth from somewhere. My goal is to always strive to obey it, to follow it, to do it. It's not one thing to just know it, but if you don't obey, I always think of that verse Jesus says, my friends, obey me. I'm a friend of Jesus if I do what he tells me in John 15:14. And so I need to obey and seek to obey, not just be hearers of the word, but there you go. You've been to Bible study as well. All right. Anything else? That made you feel good, didn't it? All right, so we're moving on. Okay, go ahead.
It was good. Made I feel good because you remember the verse. And most of the time you do not.
I did that on purpose just for you, just for you. Some of them I remember. Old school, back Sunday school, they made us remember some verses. Actually, that's from the church covenant. we used to read the church covenant on the front, having been led as we believe by the children of God, you know, if you did, that's how crazy growing up we were. Because we would make the kids, or the church would make the kids memorize the books of the Bible for a Bible. You memorize it, stand before the church, give the books of the Bible, they would give you a Bible. So many kids did it, it was like, all right, let's do something different. So then they said, memorize the Beatitudes. So we had to basically recite all the Beatitudes. Did that. All right, let's do something a little bit more difficult as we got older. Church covenant. Whew. Now we know it. Church covenant. Basically go. That was when we had those little cards and you read them and then flip it on the back and then it would go through the scriptures. And one of those scriptures, I'm a friend of Jesus if I do what he tells me, John 15:14, I'm proving this friendship when I obey him and not forsake something else. You were sent inside the church as a place where the flock is fed, and then you just read off all these scriptures. I don't remember all of them, but I'd have to probably look at it to remember. But training is there, hiding his word in my heart that I may not sin against God. Anyways, you got me off. I'm thinking about old Starlight Band in Sunday school and BTU back in the day. All right, here's a map of basically where Jesus is. So we see him go across to the Gadarenes. He heals that man, then he goes back, and that's what we said. His headquarters probably in Capernaum, or he travels in these areas a lot, but he's going to go to Bethsaida in this particular chapter. But in the beginning of verse 9, I make sure you understand this sea of Galilee. From the side view, we're looking at about 8 miles wide, so it's not really that far, depending on what part you come. And then the length of it up and down, we're looking at about 10 to 12, something like that. And so shouldn't take that long for men to sail it. It's still a sea, good size to where you can, fish and do all that type of stuff. But there you go. So now, as we talk about and discuss today, what power did Jesus give his apostles? All right, so cure diseases and to give them power over demons. So they basically went out exorcising demons and healing people that were sick. Who went out? The 12. Okay. Now we talked about before, there were more people than just the 12. In this particular case, he sends out just the 12. Now we know later on he sends out the 70. So he gives everybody that may be around in that case a larger group. He sends them out 2 by 2, but in this case he just sent the 12. So what does he send them to do? And to perform healing. All right. What are the differences between these commissions?
Limited, temporary, that's what he sent out, the 2 to 7.
Now, is it talking about the 70 or is it talking about the Great Commission?
Great Commission. Right here, he said, different between them, often the limited.
Correct. So
compare them.
now in the actual thing, and I didn't put it because I was running out of space. When it shows you the references, you're looking at the Great Commission. So in this commission, what does he tell them to take?
Nothing.
Why?
To spread the word.
Just spread the word.
What were they not to take with them? Why?
The people they were going to should take care of them. It's supposed to
Correct.
provide for them.
So there's a sense of when you go, you're going to have to rely on the people. You can't be self-sufficient. Because unfortunately, when sometimes you're self-sufficient, you separate yourself from the people. But if I send you out to go heal them and you have to stay with them, that's a whole different dynamic. Now there's a relational thing I think that he wants them to start to have with the people, to where if I'm staying in your house, there's a whole different situation. Exactly, different dynamic, but there's also a different relationship because I think he wanted them to experience the expressions of gratitude that would come from the people. Because I don't know about you, but if you do something for me or a family member of mine, they're sick and you heal them, guess what? There is a sense of, I feel almost obligated to show you my gratitude. So I'm gonna say, hey, if you don't have a place to stay, please stay at my house. Please allow me to show my gratitude, to cook you a meal, to show hospitality, all that type of stuff. And this is something I think as Christians, sometimes we may have problems. Like actually being purposefully relational on both ends. One, inviting people to our homes. Two, accepting invitations from people to come into their homes.
Back in the day, when we would have revival, ministers would come and we would have to house them.
Correct.
They take turns.
Correct.
Bringing food, making sure they're taken care
We've stayed away, strayed away from.
of. Straight away.
Now what happens is, hey, let me get you a hotel. Yeah. You can go in a hotel, we'll pay for it for all that type of time. And we miss the relational aspect of doing that. For whatever reason, I don't know. I'm not old enough to understand or wise enough to know exactly the reason, but I'm sure there's plenty of reasons why they might have started moving away from that. Either the ministers felt uncomfortable being in other people's houses, or other people felt uncomfortable allowing ministers to come into their houses. I don't know what that is. Some of it might be people don't want ministers to come into their house to see how they really live, because then they feel kind of guilty. Because then you all of a sudden people seeing what you do in your house, and that made me feel some kind of way. So I don't know. But the point is, there was, especially in this culture, there is a hospitality element that is always there, that they are big on, showing hospitality and receiving it. All right. So he sent them to what? Proclaim the kingdom of God, perform healings. Take nothing for your journey, staff, bag, bread, money. Don't even have 2 tunics. Whatever house you enter, stay there until you leave. And for those who do not receive you, as you go out from that city, shake off the dust as a testimony against them. Why do you think he says the first house you go in and stay? No idea. The temptation to go to a better house is probably there. First people that accept you, all right, come in and stay. All of a sudden, I got the person with the 2, 3, 4 bedroom place with the big nice stuff and all that type of stuff. It's like, lowly people, I love y'all to death, but bye. I'm going to the big mansion people because that's partiality. So he's like, look, I'm teaching you. You go in first. Whoever accepts you first, you stay. Don't worry about whoever has the bigger, the nicer accommodation. You stay with the people that accept you first, because I believe that it is a blessing for those people to be able to serve, to give, and do that, even with preachers and stuff. I was taught you always allow the people to be a blessing to you. And when they bless you, so my godmother taught me this, because when people would do stuff for me, I'd be like, you don't have to do that, you don't have to do that, don't do that. She said, stop saying that. I was like, why? She says, they know they don't have to do it. But if they chose to, just shut your mouth and say thank you. Now that's hard for some people to do. And I've taught this, and I got a sermon somewhere in me. I don't know if I'll put it out. There's a difference between taking and receiving. So some people take, they have no problem taking. There's a difference between receiving. And so receiving is a humbling thing, because God, I think, will put some of us in situations to where we can't reciprocate, and that's difficult. Like if somebody does something for you and you can't reciprocate it back, it's like you almost get anxious and you all jacked up because you can't reciprocate that back. Oh my God, you blessed me with this. Let me turn around and bless you with something else. And in some cases, you may not be able to, because you have to learn how to receive the blessings from people, especially from those, you can't necessarily return it back or whatever it may be. You just have to learn to say thank you and praise God for that blessing. All right, so the first commission here, don't take nothing. The Great Commission, what does he say to take? Now that comes later on.
Coats of peace.
He says, take coats, staff, swords, all that type of stuff, because it's a whole different situation, whole different mindset. Because you're not just going into the areas that they're doing it, you're going to, watch this, the Great Commission starts in Jerusalem, then where?
Judea,
Then,
Samaria.
then the uttermost parts of the world. So we're not in our backyard hometown place. We're going out there. You may be in situations where you may be forced to defend yourself. Everybody's not going to be hospitable. You may go to a city that doesn't really accept you. Now, in this area around the Sea of Galilee, you're talking about 3-mile walk. That's not that bad going from town to town, village to village. But once you start going out there, it might be a 2, 3, 4 day journey. So you're going to have to learn how to take care of yourself in those situations. Does that make sense? Everybody understand that? I don't want nobody giving me that look. Or, you didn't answer it right. Then I got to look for it. All right, how should they treat cities that rejected the message?
Let's stop the
Take off the very dust from their feet.
Look, if you don't want to receive it, I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to let that affect me. Guess what? Keep moving. Because there's a lot of other people out there that need to hear the truth. What is the significance of this?
Can't force anyone.
Can't force anybody to come Christ. Excellent. What else?
Don't get discouraged.
Don't get discouraged. Absolutely. What else?
And I think it's, don't hold any ill feelings for me.
Correct. Don't take it personally. Because a lot of people's like, oh, you're rejecting me. Now I feel some kind of way. Or you might try, and I think people in parts of the church have done this, try to change my message to make you want to like it or to accept it, water down the message. What don't you like about this? Well, I don't like the fact that, there's only one way. Well, okay, let's try to, no, there's only one way. That's through Jesus. That's it. Well, the Bible is kind of old, and those principles that it says are kind of outdated. They don't really match with today's society. So even though it speaks against, homosexuality, since God made us this way, we can still be Christian and be homosexual. To the point where people have started homosexual churches. Now, most of us, it's like, wait, huh? How are you taking something directly, is against what God has said? Because he's already said it multiple times, how homosexuality is a sin. And you're like, no, it's not. Matter of fact, we're going to parade that and celebrate it in the name of Christ. And you can come to our church and celebrate it with us. No. So there comes a time when, as we proclaim the truth of who Christ is and the truth of his message, that we have to stand firm to the truth. And if people don't accept it, you can't feel some kind of way. You can't try to compromise. You can't do this. The truth is a truth. That's it. If you don't accept it, I love you, but see you later. My job is to proclaim, or my job is to water. It's God's job. God's glory. So some seeds, I'm just a water. Sometimes I'm that conviction that comes. You may not get it now. I'm just going to remind you that God is still knocking on your heart, trying to get your attention. Eventually, you're going to cry. Or this will be used as evidence against you when you stand before him. That's the scary thing. Like, you understand when judgment comes, the great white throne, we're going to be standing behind him going, yep, we agree. Did you witness it? Yep. Were you there to get, I was there to give testimony. They rejected it. So we stand in agreement. Punishment, lake of fire. And they will be without excuse. All right, so the significance, we talked about that. You can't control what people do, regardless of how they respond. You gotta keep moving. Keep praying for them, but you gotta keep moving. All right, any comments about that? Questions, concerns? We got it? Get it together, good. All right. Who was troubled by reports of Jesus? Why was he troubled? He killed John the Baptist. Now, we all know the story. Herod had John prison because he had married his brother's wife. And so he would go and talk to John often, and he was like, okay. And there was a sense, no, there was not a sense. Everybody knew, from Herod, who was the king, all the way down to the poorest of the peasant, John was a legit prophet. Like, his fame spread out. Nobody questioned his legitimacy, to the point where the Bible says Herod was kind of afraid of him. He was like, look, I know I can't mess with him because he's for real, for real. He's that guy. But I don't want to say this, but women can be devious sometimes. That's why y'all shaking y'all head. You know, we'll just leave that alone right there. But you can be. So, drunk party, doing what, men do, women doing what women do. Herodias' daughter, she gets up there dancing. Today she be twerking. I know y'all looking serious. I had to break the mood a little bit because y'all. Okay, let me throw that in. She was twerking. All right, he got excited. Whatever men do, trying to show off, being all that. Man, you was doing your thing, girl. Whatever you want, ask whatever you want to have my kingdom, I'll give it to you. Ooh, big baller. Okay, then, Herod, do the thing. Now, I got to give her credit. She was smart. Look, man, y'all better do a lesson on that, women. Mom, what should I ask for? She was like, I just imagine, ask for the head of John the Baptist. She was like, what? She said, yeah, I don't like it. I've been waiting. Yeah, he been talking all that mess about me, calling me all kinds of stuff. I left my first husband for this one. Why do you think she left the first one for the second? I don't know. You said it, I didn't. She said probably more money. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But hey, ain't nothing new under the sun. Anyway, she felt some kind of way because John talking mess about her, or basically telling the truth, calling her out on her sin. She was like, okay, I got something for you. Yeah, you put his head on the platter. Now, this is a crazy thing. Herod does it. Listen to the woman. Lady, sometimes that's how much power you have over your man. So please stay godly. Please. All right. Boom. What happens? Herod cuts off his head. News gets to Jesus. Jesus wins. Basically, that's when Jesus kind of goes off to himself. And in my mind, has to pray. That's when they start talking. He was like, yeah, ain't nobody better than John the Baptist. He was the one who did what he had to do. He was the man. And Herod actually took it away. It's like with sin with us. You feel guilty afterwards. He was like, wait, who is this Jesus guy? What did he say about it?
John.
Has John been raised from the dead? Has he come back to life? Skin, he was like, oh, sin is messing with me. It's catching up with me. All right. After that, where did Jesus go? The Sadie. Do we need to see where that's at? Boom. So probably was in Capernaum. Here's about that, goes to Bethsaida. what happens? How many people do they think?
Man, plus,
There were
So-
5,000 men.
5,000 men. How many women and children do you think?
You know, at least one with every woman.
Say maybe two, double that. So most estimations is we're talking about 15,000
At
people.
least.
Because even in churches today, women and children always outnumber the men.
All right.
So if it's 5,000 men, I don't know why Luke just mentioned men, but that means it's a lot of people. So that changes the whole number. I mean, 5,000 is a lot, but imagine instead of 5,000, you talk about 15,000. Now, what event have you been to where 15,000 people came?
Football game.
Football games, basketball games, concerts. I knew somebody was gonna say that. Yeah, gotta get them concerts.
Carolina girls basketball game.
Oh, he being specific. There it is. Flashbacks, reminiscing. So this is important. What did he do for the people? He fed them with what?
five loaves and two fish.
Now, when they talk about loaves, we not talking about the big loaves. We talk about small little loaves like this. So I think of it like this. Imagine feeding that concert, that football game, that stadium, that Carolina girls basketball crowd full of people with a Happy Meal. Now, some of us, I'm gonna include me in there, can swallow a Happy Meal without blinking. I'll make it better. A value meal without blinking. Women included. If that tickle you, huh? But the point is this, watch this. What does Jesus do with the disciples?
First hand in the.
Told them not to worry. You got it.
First of all, they come like, what you gonna do? It was like, look, it's only 12 of us. I don't know what you thinking you about to do. Wait, that would be like us. Watch this. Trying to feed that whole stadium of people. You would look at Jesus like he absolutely lost his mind. What? We don't have nowhere even close the amount of money. Even if we pulled it all together, there aren't enough to feed all these people. What is you talking about? Plus, we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's not like it's a Kroger's down the street. We can't call a caterer and go get this amount of food. Watch this. Send them people away. We're gonna have to fend for ourselves. So Jesus tells them to what?
Put them in
Groups of 50. And then what? 2 fish, bread, bless it, and he kept breaking it. Now, here's a crazy thing. I think about this. You can think about stuff too. How long do you think that took?
Like a eye, yeah.
Blink of an eye.
You asked him if God did, he broke it and multiplied.
No, I mean,
No,
how long
I
did
know.
it take to
Fed
feed all of the people?
people.
You fine? No. Because if they wait, this is what you gotta do. You gotta let Jesus break it, go get enough, then go to all them people sitting down and give them. Now, wait, watch this. You know how people are when it comes to food. Look, you already know. Wait, they just do that with 100. 150 people upstairs. They was like, look, wait, you already know everybody is hungry. So it's like, Look, what they doing? They said they was gonna feed us. What? How they gonna feed us? Look, I don't know. I'm just hungry and I'm trying to figure out what's gonna happen. I heard they got some food up there. What they got? You gonna eat it anyways. So what you crying about? I just want to know. They got some fish or some bread. All right, we'll see. Table 1. Table 2. Table 3. Look, you doing it. You talk about table 378, table 384, table 456. What's supernatural about the whole thing? Or one of the supernatural things about the whole thing?
It's enough for everybody. One of them.
I don't know about you, but it's a hard thing to satisfy hungry people. To where they ate and have enough. 12 baskets. Now, these baskets, they assume is like laundry baskets. They not like little things. So you got like, wait, huh? So imagine, watch this. The people needed to eat. Why did the 12 think they couldn't help them? Too many people, we don't have the resources to be able to do that. Look, we've tried to scrape up something together and all we can come up with is 2 fish and these 5 loaves. How Jesus provided for them. He just prayed. How many people were there? That's what we said, 15. How many leftovers were there?
Full of pizza.
So this is the way I envision it going. Once again, table 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, whatever it may be. Because you talk about 15,000 people. So you're a disciple in charge of tables 1 through 100. Or 1 through 75, however many it is. Everybody good? Nobody else hungry? We all good. Okay. Now, we're not throwing nothing away, but whatever you have left over, all right, don't throw this away here. You can have it. Table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Keep going. Keep going. Now, once that's all done and they've all eaten, what do you think happens after that? What usually happens after you finish serving all them people?
I'm tired.
You're tired, but you need to make sure that you
You
eat.
eat.
Because I know how it is sometimes. You like, wait, I hope it's gonna be something left. Because these greedy folks act like they can't stop eating. Like they ain't never ate before in their life. And this is when they're hungry. So there's a lot of people. Once again, think of what the disciples might be thinking. Because what might you be thinking?
Well, you think they would be hungry. The way they travel, they talk about.
Wait, now, is it difficult to feed somebody when you're hungry too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means, wait, are you saying sometimes ministry is sacrificial? Difficult? Sometimes you may have to deny yourself in order to help others. Does that still happen today?
Not only being in that setting, but when we go to these things, because I remember when I was in Youngstown acting, we had to be the last thing to do. And so that everybody else got a chance to fight. So it's a good practice. Get hungry, be hungry, just be hungry. Hey,
Just be hungry?
that's right. You get it done quicker.
You'll get it done if you just do it and don't worry about it. That's military Sally right there. She doing big things back there.
That's all we did.
That's what you had to do.
You just look at the truth.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better not be caught up there, being the first one in line.
What?
The one that got.
So does that same mentality transfer into the Lord's army?
Yes.
Mhm.
Does it or should it?
Sure.
Does it actually happen?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
No, some people
Sometimes. Some people don't do it.
So
Well, I would think that he and his disciples go after they feed all the followers, they would sit down and eat and map out a plan after that, what happens after they move on.
Now, hey, watch this, it gets even deeper. Do you think the disciples knew what was gonna happen?
Nah. They was concerned with 5 loaves and 2 fish.
Wait, so they see the 5 loaves, 2 fish, they know what they start with. So as they're serving, the miracle continues to happen. Do you think their eyes start to open?
Some of them, three.
Now, wait, be honest. If after maybe table 37 or 43, do you start thinking, I hope
Hope there's some more.
it's still some more when I get to that point? Y'all being super holy, like ridiculously Christian like right now. Like you don't ever think like, oh my God, these folks, they just, they won't stop. I pray that these 2 fish and 5 loaves can last enough for us. But guess what I'm gonna keep doing? In spite of, I'm gonna just keep doing what he told me to do. But I think after a while, like you said, because once you get to, table 457, you pretty much know, okay, God got this. I don't think it's gonna run out. Because watch this. What is the principle behind it? If he's been able to multiply this much, why would he stop in the middle? Why would he run out? Wait, why would he run out at 8,745 and leave the additional 3,000 with nothing? That don't make sense. You know what I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna close my eyes when I say it because I don't want nobody looking at me thinking I'm talking about them. Why are you so afraid that God can't provide like he's done in the past? Because if he's done, the old folks used to sing it, he's already brought me this far. You want me to pick the song and get it for you? You already know. I don't feel no ways tired. We've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road will be easy. He's straight. Don't believe. So sometimes you got to remind yourself in the midst of serving that God is still faithful. But guess what? You're gonna get tired. You're gonna get weary. You may get a little worn out. It's gonna take longer than you thought. You may question, is there gonna be any for me? Wait, watch this. These people don't bit more care about us, don't care about what we're doing, don't care about the sacrifice that's being made. Guess what they just want? Keep giving me them fish sandwiches.
Can't you get a visual of, like me and Brother Jackson over there, we walked to the basket and we emptied half the basket out. And he headed back to hand out. When we get back to get some more bread, the basket's full again. And then we empty out half the basket, all we can carry, we go to hand that out, and we get back, this basket is full again. We can't empty it again. I mean, that would be astounding. It's kind of like in Luke 8, where they threw the seeds out and the seeds hit the fertile soil. And it says, in the Bible, it says, the number of seeds that hit the ground was 100. Out of that, plants came out of those seeds. So you threw out 10 seeds, 10,000 seeds, 10,000 plants grew up. You can't explain that. Right. So while you're doubting, the miracle is happening at the same time that you're doubting. It's just astounding to me how it explains itself.
Now watch, you want me to take it even deeper? If you're not in service, you don't see the miracle. So if you don't keep going back, you you don't continue to see the miracle. If you give up midway, guess what you missed? You missed the blessing of seeing God work. So that's why it says, don't get weary in well-doing. Because it's not necessarily for you, because God's gonna do what He's gonna do regardless, but you end up missing the blessing of seeing God work supernaturally. You miss out on the blessing of having your faith strengthened. You miss out on the blessing that comes with serving God. We don't think of it like that. We don't even see it like that. Wait, you mean sacrifice? Sacrificing for God is worth it? For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame, humbled himself, even to the death on the cross. So it gets crazier. Brother already mentioned, they kept going back, kept going back. Basket was full, they keep going back. How many hours do you think that took? Because think about it, if you got about 15,000 people sitting in groups of 50, it's not like they all in the same place.
300 tables.
You doing the math? You did it right there?
About that.
Okay. 300 groups of 50. All right, that's an estimation. So we like to make the numbers big. Big. All right, so 300 groups. So you divide that by 12. About 15, something like that, about 15 groups. Or actually, each disciple has 15 groups.
No, we have more than that.
More than that?
30 by 300 by 12 is like 20, more like 25.
That is true, because 12 times 2 is 24, 240 times 2, so it's like
Yeah.
22,
25.
23, 25, okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting
It's
old.
a lot.
I'm in church, I'm not thinking that. There you go, even though I'm a math teacher. Thank you. I'm nervous. But wait, 12 people have 25 groups apiece? How far do they have to be spread out?
That way, you need room.
Because watch this. In this room right here, can we fit 50 people in?
I mean, it'd be tight.
Back, it'd be tight.
It'd be tight. It'd be tight. It'd be tight, man. Yeah, you can't do it, but it's tight.
Now, we in the middle of nowhere. It's not like they got tables and chairs and they just flop them out and just like flat like today. Oh, I got my folding chair with me. I'm gonna sit down. They're sitting on the ground.
Right. In the wilderness,
So 50 people. Do you think some of them people spread out a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, because I love you to death, but I ain't trying to be that close to you when I'm trying to eat. So wait, how many groups? About 25? So every disciple has about 25 groups of 50. Wait, think about this. Do you think we could fit 15,000 people on this area? On our church grounds?
15,000.
Sitting down in groups of 50?
It'd be hard.
Wait, if that's the case, watch this.
2 sessions, maybe 2 or 3 sessions.
There ain't no session. But you started in the fellowship hall, what you gotta do? You gotta walk to each group and come back.
There's one problem in what we're doing here.
Yes.
We're trying to explain a miracle.
Oh,
There you go.
but the point is this, wait, what's the miracle? The miracle is multiplying the fish. You still gotta walk.
We're trying to put logic into the miracle process.
But it's a good visual,
But it's a good
because I've never.
Even farther down to think, I'm like, what do they have to do?
Reading about there were 5,000 people fed, not to think about that there was children and women.
Right.
So now we're doing a study and we expand it, and then we're taking it and talking about how many groups of 50, and you put that visual in your head. 300 groups of 50, that's a lot of That's a lot of people. So it gives you a better knowing.
But I'm trying to understand, I understand what you guys are saying is that can we fit 15,000 people here?
Not.
Now, the only reason I said that is how spread
you have
out
to
do
have
they
to
have
move
to
out.
be? How far do they
Down the
have to
road.
walk?
You have
Now,
to
we know they're getting supernatural, whatever it is, but they still have to walk. It's still gonna take time. Because when they finish, they're gonna be tired, but I'm getting to a point, watch this. Because as we go through ministry, we're gonna get weary, it's gonna be self-sacrificing, it's gonna be difficult, but in the end, how many baskets were left?
Well,
How many people were there? How many disciples are there?
12.
So every disciple gets a basket. Now, most of us have never even thought of that. You just think 12, oh, okay, that's amazing. But guess what? Every single disciple gets their own basket full of food. How much would they have had by themselves? So you mean God, when you serve him sacrificially, never let you go without. If you're serving others, he has to repay because that's how good he is.
Okay.
So watch this, just like it says in Psalms. Why, and you're gonna finish it when I say it, because I know you've been in church long enough. I've never seen
Righteous forsaken or seed beg bread.
because God is that way. So you don't have to be afraid to watch this. Empty yourself out in service. You don't have to be afraid of obeying God and doing what he's saying to do in service to him to the point of exhaustion or even hunger. No matter what it is, because guess what? God will always be faithful because he's God.
Okay.
Not only will he give you the ability, but he'll give you the strength. Now, the reason I brought this up is because watch this, they're tired. If it was me, I would have gave up after so far, but seeing the miracle, seeing God work, I believe that he was able to encourage, them to keep going, to give them the supernatural strength to keep walking so that they kept going until everybody was full. Then when they collected the stuff and came back to Jesus, watch this. What is the celebration that comes at the end? Dude, I got a basket left. What you got? I got a basket too. You got a basket too? What? You got a I got a basket too. You lying. No. Wait, did you get a basket? Yep, I got a basket left. You get it? Wait. So you looking around, all of us got a basket? Now watch this. What do you think Jesus is doing? He's smiling.
Oh, yeah.
He's ecstatic.
Because their eyes should be open.
Should be. But he knows what to do in our lives to open up our eyes. And I think he just sits back and goes, started to get it. They start to get it.
You know what? I'm just sitting here just amazed just by this conversation. And it just behooves me that why do people hold on to their money and won't pay tax? Or you have to argue with them, do I pay tax on my gross? I had this conversation with my aunt. Well, my pastor said, we pay it on you could pay it on your net. I said, after South Carolina's taking their taxes, the government's taking their taxes, and this person is taking this, and now you want to give God what's left over. I think this, and I'm thinking about this with this story. The more money you make, the less you give. Some people, less they give, or it hurts them to pay that 10%. I mean, and it's just not that, but he said offering. Why do you hold on to it when God's going to supply all your needs? I mean, for me, and I know for my husband, giving tithe and giving it the right way is showing God my faith and my trust in him, that you will supply all my needs. And I'm gonna tell you, not one time in our lifetime have we ever had our lights off. We could pay our payments. I mean, how many vehicles we got sitting in here? Come on now.
But that comes from experiencing God
Experiencing
through obedience and faith through service. You can't get there, once again, like I said, if they had stopped halfway, they wouldn't have experienced the miracle of trusting God beyond what they can even think or imagine.
And imagine stepping out after you worked for many, many years and you decide to retire.
That's
And
right.
then that little doubt you had when you said, okay, I'm retiring. So you retired. You let everybody know, so you retired. And then you go like that first month, and it's like, oh, wow.
Looks like you got more than you had.
Exactly. Exactly. The glass is overflowing, not that half empty, half full. The glass is always overflowing. You never are without anything.
I had this, one more thing, I had this conversation, I have to tell you this, with a friend of mine who is, well, she grew up in a very strict Christian family. And she needed to retire, but would not retire. And she said, well, Pat, I got another car payment. Now, she teaches and sometimes preaches. And I said, Gloria, we've been friends since we were 10 years old. Still friends today. Where is your faith? Where is your faith? Don't you trust God enough to take care of that? You know, I bought a car. Are you hearing me? We had this conversation. She's retired. She finally retired now. And she told me, you know, I have more now than I had when I was working.
All right, Brother Bethea, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's just proof that with God, man, 2 + 2 don't always equal 4. You know?
Man. So the point is, in this situation, because the first time I heard this was a while ago. When you pay attention to what the word says, it goes like, wait. If it's just men, and Luke goes out of his way to say there's 5,000 men. He never says people. So it's not like he made a mistake. He's letting us know there's 5,000 men plus women and children. So we estimate it could have been more than that. Because think about this. Do you think there's only one child per couple? Exactly. Like y'all looking right now. We can't even think that. So if it's 5,000 men, how many women are there? Now, we know that every woman may not necessarily be married to every man, but you know, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be way more women than it is men. So watch this. If there's 5,000 men, how many women do you think there are?
You can also remember back during that day, families was much larger because they relied on the kids.
We're not even going there. On there. Wait, how many women? If there's 5,000 men, how many women do you think that there are? It could be double. So let's take a guess, not even double, which would be 10,000 women. Let's just say it's 7,500 women.
Right. Okay.
Just 1.5. So you 5,000 plus 7,500, 12,500. I'm with you now. I'm right there. We're doing it. So if you got 12,500 adults, how many kids do you think you have?
At least that many kids.
Wait, and this was a long time ago. That's even today. They was trying to have as many kids as they wanted to.
Right.
So a rough estimate is about 15,000, but it could have been, because if it's 12,500 adults.
Could be 25, 30,000.
Yeah, easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Once again, that still doesn't take away from the miracle. It still doesn't it makes it even worse. It's like, whoa, that's some serious work. But guess what? It's still a miracle. Still got to work, still same old thing, still 12. So it's even a greater miracle. So you feed the whole stadium full of people with a value miracle. So whether it's half the stadium or the whole stadium, guess what? It's still a stadium full of people. It's still a miracle. God is still sovereign. God can still provide. It don't matter if it's 15 or 30. God still remains faithful. He can still do the miraculous. All right, Sister Arlene, I see your hand.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to comment really quickly. As the sister was talking about, tithing, and why people want to hold on to their money, but why do we still want to hold on to things, clothes that we can't wear any longer? We still keep them in our closets, thinking about the day that we're gonna get back in them. Food, we have so much. And we still hold tightly on to not just, money, but people are just very selfish with, almost everything that we have. Coco and I had gone to different restaurants. She wanted Zaxby's. I wanted Rush's. So we were at Zaxby's and I ordered her food and we saw this man and he looked at me and made the motion that he was hungry. So I wind the window down, give him Coco's food, and then I'm like, okay, Coco, you're gonna have to eat Rush's today because I don't want to go back through. I don't want to go back through Zaxby's line. But I just wonder how many people saw him motioning for food that he was hungry, and they had so much, but still didn't want to share. And I just wanted to put that out there just for food for thought.
So I used to say this before, and I used to get persecuted for it. Because I used to talk about purses and shoes. I haven't done it. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing.
I'm working on it.
I'm not gonna say nothing. Y'all knew. I look. I got persecuted. I got persecuted. I used to talk about dead cow.
Guilty.
They used to talk about me like, dead cow, what you talking about? That's what the purse is. Leather's dead cow.
Yeah.
Y'all paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for some dead cow. Then they looked at me funny, like, Newsome, stop that. You always talk about the women. So then I had to flip it and be like, brothers, some of y'all playing, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for dead cow on your feet, all that other type of stuff for your suits, which is just basically pieces of cloth sewn together, but because it's made by a certain individual, you willing to pay all this extra stuff. And some of y'all got stuff that you've had forever and don't want to get rid of it, and it ain't good enough. Now I understand when you get fat, you got fat suits. You got fat suits. I know, I'm there with you. You got, okay, if I gain 10 to 15 pounds, I can't be tight in this, so I need to have my fat clothes wardrobe. I need to have the stuff that I can wear now. And then the stuff I want to be in when I lose that 20 to 30 pounds. That's my goal with wardrobe that I want to, eventually I know I can lose that weight and get back to that part that I want to get to. I'm just telling you what happens in my house, So I got, see, I don't want to be talked about because they're going to think, you going to talk about, all right, he's talking about it. I mean, he going to talk about it, right?
And didn't even know, I got a brand new grease suit that I've been waiting to lose weight. And that suit is probably 10 years old. I still got the tag. And I've been waiting for it. I didn't get rid of this.
Don't get it too.
Look, if any of y'all want to get rid of some of y'all suits, I absolutely have no problem. I've swallowed my pride in that area. And I have no problem taking any hand-me-down suits or shoes at all. I don't care. Goodwill is my friend.
Yeah.
Yes, just Jesus.
Once you realize that this is just stuff.
It's stuff.
It's stuff. And all this stuff will fade away. All this stuff fades away. When it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean anything. But when you start cherishing it and worshiping it, I say worshiping it, cherishing it and worshiping it, then it makes a difference. it's gonna make a difference in your life. But when it doesn't mean anything to you, when it's just stuff, then it's not important. So you look at it totally different.
You start to become content.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you realize, I don't need all this stuff.
You know,
Because guess what? When it turns, because it's gonna turn, at first it's your valuable stuff.
Right,
Then when you move, it turns into junk
right. Exactly.
really quick. Because the stuff that you pay, you had to have top dollar. You was cute in it, and everybody knew you was cute. When you move,
Right.
first thing you look at your spouse, or if you by yourself, is how did I get all this?
Exactly.
Some of y'all say stuff. Some of y'all turn to grow real quick. So what's this? This is the crazy thing about it. You are happy that someone will come and take your stuff for free. You will literally give it away. The stuff, the junk, wait, no. The valuable possessions that you spent thousands of dollars for, now you're begging someone, come get this junk from me, because I don't want this stuff no more.
I know.
So it has to be a different change in your perspective. All right, I don't know how we got on that. All right, we're gonna talk about miracles. We're gonna talk about miracles. How does this demonstrate the characteristics of miracles? We've kind of already hit on that, how they're complete. When God is involved, 2 + 2 is not 4. God will always bless those who are involved in it. What subject is discussed in 18 and 21? Now we're on a whole new thing. Who Christ is. Disciples are sitting there and he said, he's praying alone, disciples with him. He says, who do people say that I am? So this is after John the Baptist is killed. This is after feeding however many, we say the 5,000, but now you can understand or get a perspective of how many this is. He says, who do people say? And what do they say?
John the Baptist.
Some say John. Now you understand why they would say that. Go ahead.
Some say Elijah.
Brother, did you finish your, yes, did you finish your point? Okay. Okay, all right, I just want to make sure that he finished this one. Okay.
All right.
I know, but sometimes when you have something on your mind, when you're discussing, a lot of people trying to talk, and then I just want to make sure you finish this one.
He's so Christian. I'm sorry.
Yeah, change.
That's why.
No, I wouldn't, I know.
Oh, you want to know what's in that bottle?
There you go.
That's tea and lemonade. That's tea and lemonade.
Okay. That sugar that.
That sugar is kicking in. I know.
Yep.
Sugar. So that I'm gonna blend it.
Thank you.
Normally I just drink coffee, but I had some tea, some Arnold Palmer from that stuff last night. It was extra sugar, so I may be on that. All right. What subject is discussed? Who Jesus is. Why is this important?
Who he said the people, who? Let me get this right. Who say the people that I am?
Correct.
That's just so important.
So people said he might be who?
Elijah.
Or
one of the other.
Elijah, which is one of the greatest prophets, and basically they would predict, or it's been prophesied that spirit would come back
Right.
later on during the last day. We find that out in Revelation, where Elijah and Moses, the 2 witnesses, are going to come back. Well, some people say that you're Elijah, or what else?
One of the older prophets.
One of the other prophets. All right.
Then he made it.
Then he says what?
But who do you say? Who do you say that I am?
Okay, I know what people say, but what about you? What do you think? Peter says,
Yes, God.
you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. All right. Why is this important?
Thing they were his followers, so we need to know how they felt about who he was as a follower of Christ. And now knowing who he is as Christ, they're open up to learn and see more about Christ.
Especially what they have seen.
Okay.
What has been done, so they are able to be seated there.
So then what does he tell them to do? Don't tell
Don't tell
anybody.
anybody.
My only thing is that the followers didn't see his miracles, only the apostles did, when he multiplied the bread and the fish.
The followers did, the people
They
saw,
probably
they
was
saw,
there.
did they? They saw, they saw.
Now,
Some people wonder, I bet they were like.
I don't wanna get jumped back on that, I'm just,
Yeah.
what the question you just said, I'm just like reflecting on that.
Yeah.
All right. So watch this. So we can look at the situation. Let's read it. Starting at verse 12. The day was ending. The 12 came to him and said. So we know that they had come back, but we know other people are there. Now, originally, when he sent out the 12. 12 comes back, like there's a bunch of people here. We're kind of your inner group. Send the people away. So he tells them to sit down and do that. Split them up into groups and go from there. So we don't know specifically if the other people who were there helped with the 12, or was it just the 12? So the assumption is it's just the 12. It may have been more. So we don't know if he's speaking. We infer that is there, and this is kind of what people have done. He didn't mention that there were others that were there, but we kind of know later on that there are other people that travel with him. So we don't like specifically know, but we know at least the 12 were there. But we might be able to infer that there were others just besides it, more than the 12. Why? Because when we go back to when Judas was replaced, what are the requirements to be the replacement of Judas? They had to have walked with him the whole time. So we don't know specifically what it is. And we just kind of, for numbers' sake and to keep it all whatever, because we can't infer. Well, we kind of can infer, but we just say, all right, we know specifically he sent the 12. We know the 12 came to him and said, send the people away. And if more people were there, guess what? That just made, they don't have to do as many people, as more people helping. So nothing really changes about the miracle. It's just more people that are there. But even then, if, once again, he's talking to more than just the 12, same situation applies. Okay, who do people say that I am? Whether it's just the 12 or it's more of them. Same type of thing. Some people say you're Elijah, or some people say you're John the Baptist. Some people say you're Elijah or one of the other prophets. Who do you say I am? You're the Christ. Look, don't tell anybody that right now. So it's not like they're not going to tell him, but for right now, don't say anything now. Why? What does he go to say at the end? I'm about to wrap up. Oh, it got quick. I know. I got that look. So he says this. This is where Jesus starts to predict his death. So it's not like they didn't know. He says, look, I'm going to be handed over to sinful men and I'm going to be crucified. So when we read it, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and the scribes and be killed and raised up on the third day. So, let me move on. What? Okay, yeah, we asked that. All right. Praise reports, prayer requests. We move into that part.
I would like to put my sister Angela on the page. Health wise and whatever else that's causing a place.
All right. Angela. All right, thank you for that. Anybody else?
Yes, I have two. Howard Johnson, the person that I asked for prayer for, who died, so we utilize him on